Yo, what's up guys, Beardo.TheWeirdo here with another video. Before I begin, make sure you guys are following me on Instagram at Beardo.TheWeirdo. If you want more daily knife content or just more of me uploaded daily to the story, go follow me on Instagram. This video we're going to be talking about my most carried knives of 2021. And I'm going to start off with an honorary mention right here. We have what I call my nut knife. It's got a super thin Kydex sheath here with an Alti clip. This Alti clip is absolutely amazing. If you have a bunch of guns and you need a clip that you can put on that is not going to come off, this is tried, true, tested. I can stand by this 100%. And then this knife right here is my self-defense nut knife. I carry it right above my zipper in my jeans, and you just always got to be prepared. You never know these days. So yeah, 100% love this knife. I've worn it well over a year and a half, I think, going on 2 years. Every single day, if I'm leaving the house, I have this baby on me. I even wear it with sweatpants, and I've even fallen asleep with this thing on. It's so comfortable. I pretty much forget it's there, but I always know it's there if I need it. Better have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So yeah, definitely recommend. This is the Picure by Bastinelli Knives in collaboration with Doug Marcaida, and I believe Fox Italy made it. So N690 steel. Never really used it to cut anything. It's more of I use it to poke in the kind of open packages and stuff, but it's more of a self-defense tool. And yeah, definitely recommend this guy. But let's get right into the video. First knife we have, and probably what is my most carried knife of 2021, is definitely going to be my Benchmade Bugout. This knife started out as a stock, I believe, blue Bugout. It might have been black. I don't really remember. I've changed the scales on it 3 different times. This is its final form. This is where it's staying. I absolutely love this jade. It's the Flytanium jade scales without the holes on the front and without the lanyard. I don't know if they're still making these scales anymore because I've not been able to find them since I got them. But then I also got the jade backspacer here, and then just the standard Benchmade clip. I swapped out the thumb stud for a green, and there's one more thing I want to do to this knife, and then it will pretty much be 100% done. Also put a pretty nice mirror polish on there, which it's all scratched up and everything, because I use this knife a ton. I use this thing for absolutely everything. There's nothing I won't do with this Benchmade Bugout. It is by far my most carried knife, and I always have it pretty much in my back left pocket. Has kind of a backup. I don't know. It's one of those knives that I always have if I need, but I don't treat it as my main knife because I always usually have more than one knife on me. There's your stats for everything. I mean, it's the Benchmade Bugout. There's 100 reviews on this knife. It's tried, true, tested, and yeah, I can definitely recommend this knife to anyone. If you think it's a little bit too big, they do have a mini Bugout. I've never actually tried it personally, but I can imagine it's going to be just as good, just a little bit smaller. And yeah, probably my most carried knife of 2021 would be my Benchmade Bugout. Moving on to the second knife, we have the Spyderco Stretch 2. Now, this knife is a knife that I bought simply because I wanted to test out the steel. It has K390 steel, which, if you guys know anything about steel, this steel is pretty much comparable to Maximate. And the way Spyderco Eric Glesser describes it is it's pretty much like taking a Ferrari engine and sticking it in a Prius body. So it's all about the steel on this knife. The handles itself are the lightweight version. I guess they do make a Spyderco Stretch that that's not lightweight. Only knife I've ever had is the lightweight one. I went ahead and anoded the screws here, and it used to have a pocket clip on it, but when I anoded the screws, I can't get my pocket clip to go back on. So I don't know if my screws somehow shrunk due to the heat or what's up with that, but yeah, I carried this knife for an entire month straight. It was the only knife I used, and I was not able to get this thing dull. I mean, I used it for absolutely everything, and it is still just rocking an insanely sharp edge with that Buller K390. Coming in at 150 bucks, I can't recommend this knife more. If you can find it, that is. I think they're pretty much sold out everywhere because it's such a popular knife, but on the secondary market, you might be able to find one. It does have that lockback, which some people might not like, but this is me left-handed, and when he designed the knife, if you keep your finger right here and you press the lockback down, it's going to fall right on your finger there. So a lockback isn't bad. You just have to know how to use it. I mean, that's any tool, right? If you know how to use the tool, then the tool's going to work a lot better for you. So the lockback doesn't bother me at all. It's actually pretty fun to fidget with. if you can get over that fear of getting cut, if you just, you know, have your finger in the right spot there. So my second most carried knife of 2021 is definitely going to be the Spyderco Stretch 2. Absolutely love this knife. I just need to get a new clip for it, and then it's going to be right back into my pocket because this steel is just absolutely incredible. Nice and thin, nice and slicey. Ergonomics on it, or I mean, whether you're back here, whether you're choked up here, just no matter where you grab this knife, I just absolutely love it. And yeah, it's going to be my second most carried knife. Moving on. My third most carried knife of 2021 is going to be the Cold Steel Toughlight. Now that might surprise you a bit, but this was my work knife. This was the knife that I took to work, and I absolutely beat the crap out of this knife. If you can't tell, the scratches on it are actually for me sharpening when I didn't know how to sharpen, and then the tip on it is completely gone because I put it into some concrete. So Oz 8 steel isn't going to hold up the concrete, but everything else, this knife was absolutely amazing. The ergonomics on this knife absolutely melt in your hand. This is another knife that they do have a mini version of. I've never actually tried the mini version, but for 32 bucks, guys, $32, you cannot beat this knife. I don't think there's a better knife on the market for, you know, 30 bucks that can hold up to the abuse that this thing can hold up to. It's got the Cold Steel Triad lock, which was designed by Andrew Demko. And if you guys know anything about Cold Steel or Andrew Demko and his locks, he just came out with a new shark lock. Absolutely amazing lock. Struggling here on camera just because of my the angle, but as you can see there, kind of the same thing as the Stretch. If you have your finger in that choil there, when you press that lock back and just give it a flick, you're not going to get cut. Like, it's absolutely impossible for the blade. If you're up here, it ain't going to close. But when you're down here, it's absolutely impossible for that blade to get your finger. So it's super safe, super reliable. The only one maybe downside I could gripe with this knife is you only can carry it tip down. But for how amazing of a knife this is, also I went and kind of angled that clip, which doesn't look the best on camera. In person, it's a little bit better. But anyways, yeah. Absolutely love the Cold Steel Toughlight. Again, if this knife is a little bit too big for you, try out the mini. But if you need a tough, reliable, cheap knife to take to work, to beat the crap out of, to just pretty much do anything with, definitely check out the Cold Steel Toughlight. And that is going to be my third most carried knife of 2021. Moving on. Knife number 4. Now this knife, again, was one of those knives I kind of bought because of the steel. We have the Spyderco Spidey Chef with LC 200N steel, and this steel right here is rust proof. Everything about this knife is pretty much, I'm going to call it rust proof. There's some people out there who will say it's rust resistant because there is a guy who lost his in a creek for like 2 months and then came back to it, and it had a little bit of, you know, corrosion on it. But this steel was designed by NASA pretty much to be rust proof. And if you guys have never had a Spyderco, a Spidey Chef, I definitely recommend you try it out. With the wire clip on the back, the rust-proof steel, titanium, you can get this thing anode any way, color, shape, not shape, but any like color or, you know, design you want. I think it's Way of Knife is on Instagram. They have a super awesome custom shop, and I've seen some absolutely just crazy Spidey Chefs. This was the Knife Joy exclusive with like the navy and all blacked out hardware. As you can see, I mean, just look at all these snail trails. I have carried this knife. I think in the summertime, I had this knife on me every single day because I can pretty much rust any kind of steel out there, except this LC200N. It is the one steel that I've yet to get any rust on, yet to have any problems with. And if I need a knife in the summer when it's super humid out, this is my go-to right here. That Spidey flick, the ergonomics, the blade shape. If you want a knife that's really good for like cooking or like, you know, food prep, I mean, look at the belly on that thing, and it's just, oh, I love everything about this knife. You can set it down without the blade, or without majority of the blade touching. You just kind of have that little bit in the back there. Super thin, easy to clean, don't have to worry about rust. I mean, what more can I say? It's a Spyderco Spidey Chef. If you don't have one, or if you've never checked it out, I definitely recommend it. And that's going to be my 4th most carried knife of 2021. Now, moving on, the last knife. We're only going to do 5 here. And this might surprise you guys, but it's actually a fixed blade. So we have here the SE Zula II. And I bought this knife at SMKW, Smoky Mountain Knife Works. I went there looking for this knife specifically. I wanted this color combination with the micarta scales. and I got it. So I'm very happy with this knife. I've carried it a crap ton. I've beat the crap out of it. That green is holding up really well. I put my own edge on there, so it's got a decent mirror. 1095 steel, which isn't going to be, you know, a super premium everyday carry steel, but it's one of those steels that if you know how to sharpen, if you know how to touch up and take care of your edge, it's not a problem at all, and I've had no issues with this 1095. I absolutely love the micarta. I originally wanted the Zula II because of the micarta scales with a bit of a longer handle, and I mean, this just fits my hand. Like, it's absolutely perfect, super comfortable. You can take off the handles if you want and carry it skeletonized and lose a little bit of weight. But I mean, even with the sheath, you know, it's only at 5 ounces. And I like this sheath. This is like the standard, I guess you call it, Kydex sheath that it comes with. I like to carry it because it's scout carry. So I carry it on my back behind me, and then I can just reach around, grab the knife, pull it out. And this clip does a perfect job of staying on my belt. I don't have to worry about this falling off. And it's one of those knives that when I have it on me, I get home at the end of the day, and I sometimes forget that I'm even wearing it on my back because of just how comfortable it is. Easy to carry, easy to maintain steel, comfortable in the hand, and it's a fixed blade. I mean, like, you can pretty much do anything with this knife, and you don't have to worry about it because there's nothing that can break. Like, if you break this 1095 steel, you're doing something wrong with your knife, or like, you're just that would be impressive. So this is by far probably my favorite fixed blade I think that I own, and that might just be because it's the only one of the few fixed blades that's small enough that I can actually carry, you know, for an EDC fixed blade and not be, you know, super threatening to other people and look like a crazy man. So yeah, guys, if you've not tried out the Zula II, or if you know you do want a little bit smaller, you can get the Zula I. It's a great neck knife, great for scout carry, great for outdoors, great for EDC. I can't recommend this knife enough. Try out the Zula II. Now, moving on, and you said, hey, you're only going to do 5 knives. What could be next? I'm going to be talking about some butterfly knives. So, if you guys don't know, I'm also a butter knife flipper. I can't do it on camera here because there's just no absolutely room. But I do know how to flip fairly decently. And this is going to be just my top 3 butterfly knives. This is the Squid Industry Triton. And it's a aluminum handles, aluminum trainer. I don't even know what blade steel it is. It doesn't really matter, but I love this knife. Originally, when I had it, it had a black blade, and then I kind of screwed up that black blade, so then I got another blade that was satin, and then I sent this satin blade off to my buddy, and he Cerakoted it black, and it's held up really well. I absolutely love this little trainer. The sounds it makes, just the audio feedback, and then, I mean, it's a tank. Like, look at those bottom handles. It's not flipped on concrete a bunch, but in the smooth warehouse that I used to work at my old job, I used to take this with me pretty much every day if I didn't have a live blade on me. I always had this in my pocket, and yeah, that's going to be my #1 Bally of the year for 2021. And moving on, my second Bally of 2021, it's actually another squid product, the Squid Industry Kraken. And if you guys know anything about Bally's, you've probably heard about the Kraken. This knife, I remember when they announced it in Blade Show, I think it was 2020, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to get my hands on one, and I waited and I waited and I waited, and now I think I own like 4 of them. But this is by far my most carried of the 4. It is the blue with the black ABEL steel, which is, I guess, pretty tough steel. I mean, I've dropped this thing tip down on concrete, and you can see there's still a tip there. I mean, it's rounded off a little bit, but I was pretty impressed with how tough of a steel it was for just dropping it onto the concrete. Like, it actually took a chunk out of the concrete, so that was pretty impressive to me. Really like the Kraken. It's got, I don't know, I'm not going to go into, I guess, reviews of Bally's. Maybe I'll save that for another video, but this is going to be, by far, my second most carried knife of 2021 as far as Bally's go, the Squid Industries Kraken. Now, my third, and what is my most carried, my favorite, my baby, this is going to be the Turbo PDN, the Puddin'. This is by far my most carried knife. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you know that pretty much anytime I do a pocket dump or anything like that, I'm carrying the PDN on me. Like, I have this knife every single day. Like I said, if I didn't have a live on me and had a trainer in my pocket, the live that I did have, it was going to be the PDN. Like, between the PDN and the Kraken, it was hard to always decide, you know, which one I wanted to carry more. But the PDN, I think what does it for me is all of this knurling down here on the bottom just gives me so much grip that I don't know. It's everything about this knife is just perfect. The materials it was made with, the steel, the hardware, nothing is like proprietary or weird. Everything is easily bought and replaced. So if I do have a screw or anything that goes bad, I can just go and buy a screw myself. I don't have to like call up the company, send it in, and it's just all easily maintained, easily replaced, and this thing is an absolute tank. I flip this thing over concrete, rocks, blacktop, it doesn't matter. This thing pretty much goes with me every single day when I leave the house. Kind of like my nut knife. This PDN has just been absolutely glued to my pocket. I can't get it out. And yeah, it's expensive, but I think it's worth every single penny because of what it's able to do and how easily maintained it is. If you guys know about Bally's, there's a big thing that after so long, the handle gap kind of, starts wearing away because you're constantly dinging the blade against the pins in here. And I mean, the handle gap hasn't really changed since day one when I got it. If you compare it to my Triton here, you can see those handles pretty much slapped together because the tang pins have just worn out and probably need to get them replaced here. But this PDN, absolute tank. Can't recommend it anymore. It is by far my favorite knife as far as Bally's go. My Bugout being my most carried, regular knife, and then the Zula II here being my most carried fixed blade. And that's pretty much going to do it, guys. That is my most carried knives of 2021. Leave some comments down below. What is your favorite knife, or what is the knife you carried most in 2021? Let me know anything else you guys want to see me do, any videos you want to see in the future. Make sure you guys like, favorite, share, do what you gotta do. Subscribe if you haven't already. As always, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!